Welcome to Daily Armor. We're going to be in 2nd Chronicles 7:14 today. Hope you can hear me. I have a baby sleeping in the other room. I tried this morning before she got here 6 times, I think, to do the video, and it just kept going badly. So I'm trying again, trying to fight through this, and we're in 2nd Chronicles 7:14. We're still talking about the Lord's promises. The last several devotions were about what I would call one-sided promises, where they were all about things that God has promised that He's going to do, not based on anything else, but that He is going to do them. My security and my salvation is not based on me. It's not based on what I do, what I don't do. It's not based on getting this right and getting this wrong, whatever. It's not a balance, a scale. I'm not going to heaven on a balance. It's not, well, I think I'm going to heaven. I know I am, because it's not anything about me, but it's all about what He said. He said, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. If God saves you, who's going to pluck you out of His hand? Who's going to remove you from the Lord's hand? Nobody. Nobody. So my security is in Him. I have that promise that my home is in heaven. I have that security of knowing that He's coming back, and He's coming back soon. And that also gives me a burden for others. I want them to go as well. I don't want them to be left behind. If they were to die before that happens, I don't want them to go by the grave and be lost without the Lord. I want them to know the Lord. So that should burden us with that promise. It's a blessing for us, but it should burden us for the lost. But today, and maybe, hopefully, the Lord willing, over the next several days, of course, we won't cover all of them, but I just want to pick out some of maybe the most common promises that you or I use or deal with, or have heard quoted, or maybe we have learned them ourselves. 2nd Chronicles 7:14 is definitely one of those that's very familiar. But even in the familiarity of the verse, the Lord showed me something today, and I don't even know if I'll get into it, to that part of it, but it was just something fresh and new, and I was very excited to see that. But let's read 2nd Chronicles 7:14, and it says, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. So some of the Lord's promises have conditions. They're conditional promises. He says that I promise you that I will do this and this and this, but this is your part. This is your responsibility. Kind of like whenever you are raising your children and you say, okay, if you'll go clean your room, then you're going to get an allowance, or you're going to get, a treat, or maybe we'll go out for ice cream, or just like some of the times when I was with my children, and they wanted to go do something, and I'm like, okay, well, we've got to get this and this and this done, and then we can leave. And they knew that we weren't going to leave the house until those things were done. So if they wanted to leave, then they could pitch in and help, and tidy the house up, the things that we needed to do on a daily basis. They knew those things needed to be done. And then we could go to the park, or have a picnic, or go to Mama and Papa's house, or wherever it is that they were wanting to do that day. So that was some conditions that I had set, and God has gave us some conditions. He says in His conditions in this verse, and we'll be dealing with other conditions in other verses, Lord willing, in days to come. But in this condition, there needs to, well, first let's talk about the end. It says, if you want to be heard, if you want the Lord to be listening, if you want to, when you're praying, if you want there to be a call for action, then there's some things that we're going to have to do. If you need forgiveness, there's some things that we're going to have to do. If you need healing, our land needs healing. Our whole nation needs healing. Our homes, our communities, our churches, our states. there's healing that needs to take place. And if we want those things, God is saying, this is the formula, this is how it's going to be done. This is what you have to do. This is your part. If you want me to do my part, then I will do my part. I promise I will. That's a promise. He will do it. But these are conditional promises that require us to do our part. So I think in my life, I just think there's some things that I'm failing on my part. And so I'm reassessing my life and looking at different things in my life and asking the Lord, what is it on my part? Because I'm praying about some things and I'm waiting and I'm being patient, but I just want to make sure as well that He's not waiting on me to, get some things set in proper order in my life, because that He has some boundaries for me and for you. The first thing He says is that if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves. Humble is to submit to the Lord. And I'm asking the Lord, show me in what areas in my life do I need to submit? Am I failing to submit in some things? I feel like that He has really, over the last over 20 years of being saved, that He has really dealt with me harshly in those areas of stubbornness that I have. And I'm sure that He deals with you in the areas that you are stubborn in. So think about those areas that we're being stubborn about, and ask the Lord to help us, even giving us that ability to submit to those things that we're still being a little bit stubborn about. And it says, and to pray. So the Lord's saying, I'm waiting for you to communicate with me. If you're going on about your day and you want things to be better, but you're not talking to Him about them, if I'm not talking to Him about them, how am I expecting them to be different? And so He wants to change our communication with Him. It's not just, if you've ever, especially with a teenager, and dealing with a teenager, a lot of times they want something, and they want something quickly. They want to grab the keys to the car, or they want some money for this or that, or they want to go here or there, but they don't really want to communicate with you about it. They don't want to tell you where they're going, what they're needing the money for, where they're taking the car. They don't want to explain themselves. They don't want to communicate. They just want you to just hurry up and let me do what I want to, and don't ask me a lot of questions. If you've ever had a teenager, you know what that's like. And I think a lot of times that we treat the Lord that way. Lord, I need this, but I don't want to talk about all the other stuff. I don't want to explain myself. And that's not what He wants. He wants us to communicate with Him. He's not going to just give us the keys to the car and not ask, well, where are you going and what are you doing? He knows. He already knows. But He wants you to explain yourself. He wants you to hear it come out of your mouth of what you're doing and what's up and what's going on. So it's communication when we submit ourselves, and then we talk to Him about it. And then we seek His face. It says, and seek my face. The Lord's saying, seek my face, not His hand. That hand that's waiting on the car keys, that hand that's waiting on, $50 for gas, or $100 these days for gas. That hand that's waiting. Just don't ask me a lot of questions. Just hand me this and hand me that. And we know that with, teenagers, young adults, that this is something that they want. They don't want to spend time with us, really look us in the eye. A lot of times, that I noticed that my children didn't want to look at me. They want to just seek my hand, but they don't want to look at me. They don't want to seek my face. And so we have to seek His face. And if we feel ashamed for Him to look at us, then that's where that prayer and the humbling ourselves comes in to play, where we need to just stop and admit, Lord, I'm messing up here. I'm kind of going in the wrong direction. I've took a little side street over here, and I need to come back and center things up with you. A lot of times what we're hoping is that God will come over there with us, only to find out that we're over there alone. And the reason that we're alone is that we're not lined up with Him. And so this 2 Chronicles 7:14 is all about getting lined up with God, not God lining up with us, but about us getting lined up with Him. And it says, and turn from their wicked ways. So in that turning, there's that repentance. There's that and not going a full circle where you just right back where you started from. I know sometimes that we make a mistake and then we ask for forgiveness for it, but then later on down the road we find we're kind of in that same boat all over again, and we don't even know how that came to be. And that's when we're like, okay, Lord, I apologize for this. I thought I was turning away from it, but how did I end up right back? I did a 360. And what we want to do is kind of do a 180, and we want to turn completely away from it. We want to turn in the direction of the Lord, whatever He wants. And so this verse definitely falls under that He's got some wonderful promises. He's going to hear, He's going to listen, He's going to take action, He's going to forgive, and we're going to be clean. And when He forgives, it's that pardon. Do you know what a pardon is? A pardon is a guilty person can be completely forgiven of all the guilt and the shame, of all the consequences. And that's when the Lord forgives us. That's what He does. He completely pardons us. He's not saying, oh, you didn't do anything wrong. He's saying, no, you did something wrong. But He knows our heart, and He knows when we truly are sorry. Not when we're sorry we got caught, not when we are sorry that we got found out, not when we're like, oh gosh, now what? Not that kind of sorry. That's not repentance. Repentance is, why did I do that? And you are just bowed down at His feet, and you're weeping within. You are just weeping within, and you're possibly, I know for me, I would be weeping on the outside as well. But it's that inward work that's going on that God knows all about. You might can fool a parent, you might could fool a spouse, you might could fool a boss, person, boss man or something. There's all kinds of people you can fool. You can fool your pastor, your pastor's wife. I mean, we're really not, looking at you like that because we're dealing with our own issues. But so many times people think that they're fooling us when they're really only fooling themselves. And they're not really even doing a very good job at that. So I don't want to be guilty of just fooling myself. I want to look at things correctly and in the right perspective, because when God shows me those things, He's doing it for my good and for His glory. And I'm going to be tapping into some of those promises that I want. I want Him to hear. There's some things I'm praying about, and they're serious. They're hard. And I've been waiting and praying for a long time, and I want Him to listen, and I want Him not just to listen, but I want Him to call to action some things. I want Him to put in motion some things, and maybe He already has in some things, and maybe I'm just yet to see some of the results of it. I know in several situations that I'm praying about that there's stuff going on, and it's just not all come to surface yet. But I want that forgiveness, because I mess up all the time. I just about messed up really big the other day. I really did. And I'm so thankful that the Lord reminded me. I hesitated. I was going to do something, and I hesitated. And Todd was like, just go ahead, and I was like, okay. And so I went to do it, and the Lord, and it was like, I couldn't. I was like, I couldn't. And then Todd was like, well, did you ever do that? And I'm like, no, I didn't do it. And then I told him a few days later, I said, that you wanted me to do and that I wanted to do? And he's like, yeah. I said, I couldn't do it. And he's like, why? I said, because I forgot a promise I'd made to the Lord. I forgot a condition the Lord told me that I couldn't do that. And it's not something that it's more of a personal issue than anything else. And he was like, okay, if that's what the Lord doesn't want you to do, that, then we won't go that route. We'll go a different route. And I'm like, okay. And so I just about messed up, and was so close to really messing up. And not that what I was fixing to do was so bad, but what I was fixing to do was going against what a few months before that the Lord had showed me He didn't want that for my life anymore. That wasn't going to be the path that He was choosing for me anymore. And that He has a different way. And so, but what if I had messed up? What if I had did it, and then I would have been like, a little bit later when I realized, oh, I forgot, I'm not supposed to go about it that way anymore. I'm not supposed to go about it that way more. He wants me to do things a little different. And we'll find that, the next time I might forget, or, I do it before thinking, or I might be in a bad mood and be rebellious, and then I'll pay for it later. That's what these next set of promises are going to be about, is if we do it His way, man, don't we tap into some wonderful, wonderful promises that He's going to hear and listen and call to action some things, and He's going to forgive us, and He's going to heal. He's going to heal some things in my life, and He's going to heal some things in your life. I have some things going on in my body, and I am really needing some healing, and I am asking God to help me and to heal me, and I want that. And I feel like that it's something that it'd be so simple, but yet I can't do it. I can't, but I know that if I could but touch the hem of His garment, if I could just get to Him, and I have to do it His way, not my way. I have to do things His way. And so many times we want to do things our way. We don't want to do them His way. We don't want to submit to some things. Well, I don't want to go to the doctor. Well, I don't want to go do this. Well, I don't want to change my eating habits. Well, I don't want to, start walking. Well, I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do that. But you know that's what the Lord's telling you need to do. That those are things that are healthy for your mind, for your body, for your spirit. And we have to be willing to humble ourselves and pray and talk to Him and talk through it. We have to seek His face, not His hand, but His face. And that's so different. That's so different when you really want to know more and more about the Lord. When you want to say, Lord, I'm wanting to do this, but I don't know if I'm supposed to. I'd like the keys to the car, Lord, but I don't know, if where I'm going, Lord, I want to talk to you about it. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is a good place for me to go? I'm wanting the keys to the car, Lord, but I'm wanting to go down, over here. Can I go, Lord? Do I have permission to go? What do you think about it? Is there any advice you would give me? Is there any dangers that I'm not aware of? Is this going to hurt me in some way? Seeking His face, not His hand. And then turning from those things. When He says, okay, you can go over here, but I would stay away from that over there, because you don't know, but there's some danger lurking over there. There's some things going on in that area that you don't realize. There's some bad people over there that they're going to get caught up in some things, and maybe you're going to, you might get caught in the crosshairs. You might get injured, and I don't want you to be injured, so I want to keep you over here and keep you grazing over here. And we have some things that maybe it's, that looked like it would have been fun, Lord. I thought I would really enjoy that. And He's like, yeah, but not right now. That there's danger lurking around, and there's some temptations that are going to be over there that you're not going to be ready to handle, and you're not going to be prepared for. That's going to catch you off guard. And so I want you to stay over here. And so when we seek His face, we find out about those things. We find out about all those things. And we might not know the specifics, because He doesn't have to share us with the specifics, just like a parent. Sometimes you don't have time to give 15 reasons why this is not a good idea. Sometimes you just have to say, you just need to trust me. Today's not a good day. That's not a good location. I just want you to be safe, and I don't want you to be sorry later. And so God, in His complete wisdom, His almightiness, His all powerfulness, His all knowing, what better person to confide in than God Himself? Because I am an imperfect parent. I don't know all the things. I can assume, like, well, this might happen, that might happen, that might happen. I have no idea. You might go do this or that, and everything be just fine, and nothing ever took place or nothing ever happened. But God Himself knows. And when we seek His face, that's when we're gonna glean from His wisdom and from His power, from His all-knowing, that He knows exactly what's going on. And then when we turn and we do what He wants, instead of when we turn away from the direction that we're wanting to go, and we turn and we're just at His feet, looking into his face, seeking his words, his wisdom, his counsel, man, then what have we done? We've opened up this wonderful listener, the one that can do something about it, the one that can intervene and intercede and bring us the miracle of forgiveness and of healing all at the same time. The Lord is the one that's able to do that, but we have to meet his conditions. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon.